They can climb mountains even better than goats. They can go for weeks without needing water. And they can produce hybrids so unusual, they leave scientists in awe. It's not just about horses. Let's dive in. All 11 wild horse relatives, zebras, donkeys, and more. The domestic horse, or simply horse, is one of the earliest animals ever domesticated, with over 300 distinct breeds, yet all still classified as a single species. Horses live in herds with a clear social structure. They develop strong danger-sensing skills, learn through training, and show their intelligence by solving problems together as a group. The origin of the domestic horse likely traces back to Asia, with the earliest archaeological evidence of domestication found in present-day Ukraine and Kazakhstan, dating to around 4,000 to 3,500 years before the Common Era. They were widely used for transportation, farming support, and in warfare. Their rapid spread had a profound cultural and military impact, from Central Asia, across Europe, and into North Africa. The last remaining truly wild horse species on Earth is Przewalski's horse, also known as the Taki or Mongolian wild horse. At one point, this species was believed to be the same as the domestic horse, after a 2018 study published in the journal Science suggested that they were the wild descendants of the first horses domesticated by the Batai culture in Central Asia around 5,500 years ago. This raised a key question. Does any truly original wild horse still exist today? However, several other genetic studies have challenged that idea. An analysis of 42 ancient genomes, including 20 taken from Batai archaeological sites, showed that modern domestic horses are not closely related to the Batai horses. Instead, the evidence indicates that Przewalski's horse is simply a feral descendant of horses once domesticated at Batai, not an original wild ancestor. Evidence from ancient DNA, even from a 700,000-year-old horse in Yukon, Canada, supports this perspective. The lineage leading to Przewalski's horse split completely from the domestic horse around 43,000 years ago and appears to have never been domesticated at any point in its evolutionary history. Another remarkable feature is that Przewalski's horse has 66 chromosomes, while the domestic horse has only 64. In prehistoric times, Przewalski's horse roamed across a wide range from Central Asia to Western Europe. However, in more recent recorded history, they were only found in the Dzungarian Gobi Desert of northern China and the Gobi Desert of Mongolia. Their disappearance from the wild was due to a mix of pressures: competition for food with livestock, hunting, the capture of foals for zoos, shifting climate patterns, inbreeding, hybridization with domestic horses, natural predation, and loss of young foals, along with harsh winters that cause severe shortages of food and water. Wild populations have now been reintroduced in Kustane Nuru, Takhintal, and Komintal in Mongolia, along with reserves in Kazakhstan and China, including Xinjiang Province, Wuwei Dunhuang, and the Beijing-Anxi region. Still, in China, Przewalski's horse remains classified as extinct in the wild because reintroduced herds continue to rely on supplemental feeding to survive harsh winters. So the question remains, with these rewilding efforts, is Przewalski's horse truly the last original wild horse species? Or has it become something else, a rewilded branch from the past? While wild horses refer to those with entirely wild ancestry, feral horses are descendants of once domesticated horses. These horses were either abandoned, escaped, wandered off, or were deliberately released from human care. Over time, they survived and reproduced across generations in the wild, forming distinct populations in various parts of the world. The Namib Desert horse, found in the harsh Namib Desert of Africa, is a prime example of a feral horse adapted to one of the driest environments on Earth. The Namib Desert horse, found in the harsh Namib Desert of Africa, is a prime example of a feral horse adapted to one of the driest environments on Earth. In Ethiopia, the Kundudo horse population has dwindled to fewer than 10 individuals and now faces the risk of disappearing entirely. This is considered the oldest feral horse population in Africa, originating over a century ago and surviving thanks to geographic isolation and an ability to cope with extreme resource scarcity. In North America, mustangs are descended from horses brought by Spanish explorers to the Americas in the 16th century. They have thrived across the arid plains of the western United States, forming free-ranging herds with complex social structures, much like original wild horses. In South America, there are populations such as the Lavradero in northern Brazil, descended from colonial-era Spanish horses. In Bolivia's Andes Mountains, a herd of feral horses lives at nearly 4,700 meters in elevation, where survival means enduring low oxygen, severe climate shifts, and extreme conditions every day. Across Europe, feral horse populations are scattered from the Iberian Peninsula to Mediterranean islands. On Sardinia, Italy, the Giara horse has lived wild on the basalt plateau of La Giara di Gestari since the 7th century before the Common Era. In Romania's Danube floodplain, the Danube Delta horse population surged after the closure of collective farms in the 1990s, with more than 2,000 horses now living freely in the Letia forest. In the British Isles, semi-wild populations such as the Welsh pony and cob still roam the Carnarvon Mountains of Wales. In Poland, the Polish konik has been introduced into semi-natural reserves in an effort to recreate the image of the now extinct tarpan. Although the two share physical similarities, modern genetic studies show that the Polish konik is not a direct descendant of the tarpan, but rather a result of selective breeding and environmental adaptation. In Asia, the Yulka horse lives in the Kızılırmak plains of Turkey, carrying on an agricultural tradition that spans centuries. These horses were once used seasonally for farm work and then released in winter to forage on their own. As modern machinery replaced animal labor, the horses gradually became free-living feral animals. In Japan, the Misaki horse of Cape Toy Peninsula is a small, rare breed facing serious threats, now protected as a national natural monument. In the Pacific region, Australia is home to the largest feral horse population in the world, around 400,000 individuals. Known as brumbies, they are descended from horses brought by British settlers in the 18th century. In New Zealand, the Kaimanawa horse carries a blend of European domestic horse bloodlines from animals released in the 19th century, and now lives freely in the country's dry hill forests. There is also the concept of the semi-feral horse, referring to individuals with domestic horse origins that were once tamed but later released or escaped, re-establishing a life in the wild. In many cases, semi-feral herds are managed as wildlife, and their survival behaviors gradually begin to resemble those of truly wild horses, as regular human intervention fades. A prime example in southern France is the Camargue horse, also known as Camarguais or Cheval de Camargue, which has existed for thousands of years in the marshlands of the Rhone River Delta and is considered one of the oldest horse breeds in the world. Camargue horses are born dark brown and gradually turn white as they mature. Their wide, strong hooves and ability to close their nostrils while grazing in flooded areas are perfect adaptations for a semi-wild life in marshy terrain. They live within menads, loosely managed herds overseen by a group of herders called guardians, where the horses help drive livestock and take part in local festivals. In England, pony breeds have long and storied histories. The fell pony, found in Cumbria, may trace its roots back to before Roman times. The Dartmoor pony dates to the Bronze Age, around 1,500 years before the Common Era. The New Forest pony has been recorded since the year 1016 and carries bloodlines from Welsh, Arabian, Fell, and Highland horses. The Exmoor pony, mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1086, has mitochondrial DNA similar to many domestic breeds, yet its behavior strongly mirrors that of wild horses. In Portugal, the Guarano breed lives semi-wild in the Serra d'Arga region and saw a sharp population decline between 2017 and 2021 due to management pressures and the impact of the Iberian wolf. Unlike horses, which have undergone domestication, zebras have never been tamed and remain entirely wild. They are easily recognized by their distinctive black and white striped coats, with each individual having a unique pattern, much like a human fingerprint. These stripes serve a practical purpose. They significantly reduce the impact of tabanid flies, a group of blood-feeding insects known to transmit harmful diseases. All three modern zebra species have adapted to semi-arid environments. These include the plains zebra, the mountain zebra, and the Gobi zebra. Among the zebra species, the plains zebra is the most common and widely distributed across the African continent. Its range stretches from southern Africa through the semi-arid plateaus of the east, reaching as far north as Ethiopia and South Sudan, and extending all the way down to South Africa. Southern populations tend to be larger in body size and have fewer stripes, with darker patches standing out more distinctly against the white areas compared to their northern counterparts. Plains zebras are known for having the most complex and stable social structure within the Equidae family. They live in close-knit family groups called harems, led by a stallion and made up of 1 to 6 mares along with their young. The mares typically remain with the same group for most of their reproductive lives, and the stallion has exclusive mating rights within the harem. In addition to harems, stallions without groups often gather in bachelor herds, loose associations where they frequently interact with one another before competing for and maintaining a harem of their own. These groups can join together to form massive herds, sometimes numbering in the thousands, when traveling, grazing, or resting, creating a flexible and highly organized social network. Plains zebras are strict grazers, with over 90% of their diet consisting of grass. Thanks to their hindgut fermentation system, they can digest tough, dry, and nutrient-poor grasses. However, to maintain their energy levels, they must consume large quantities of food daily and may spend up to 20 hours each day feeding. Burchell's zebra is the subspecies with the widest range, primarily found in southern Africa, from Botswana and Etosha National Park in Namibia to Eswatini in KwaZulu-Natal. This subspecies holds the record for the longest documented land migration among African wildlife, with a round-trip journey reaching up to 500 kilometers. They migrate seasonally between the Chobe River in Namibia and the dry grasslands of Njaipan National Park in Botswana. Burchell's zebra is also the only subspecies of the plains zebra that is legally farmed for human consumption in certain countries. Grant's zebra is the smallest of the subspecies and is mainly found in Central and Eastern Africa. Some populations tend to be semi-sedentary, while others undertake seasonal migrations in search of fresh grass and clean water. These migrations typically follow a circular pattern within a defined home range. Crawshay's zebra is a prominent representative of the savannas and open woodlands of East Africa. This subspecies ranges from eastern Zambia, across the eastern side of the Luangwa River, down into Malawi, southeastern Tanzania, and northern regions of Mozambique. Their stripes are exceptionally dense, creating an almost seamless pattern between black and white, with the black stripes running continuously from the underbelly all the way down to the hooves. The most distinctive of all may be the manaless zebra, known for its underdeveloped mane, sometimes nearly absent in certain males. This trait is believed to be linked to specific genetic factors, as well as the harsh climatic conditions of its native habitat. Manaless zebras are mainly found in the open grasslands and savannas of northwestern Kenya, Uganda, and South Sudan, transitional zones between the dry plains of the Sahel and the seasonally flooded lowlands of East Africa. In these regions, having less dense body hair may offer an advantage by helping to regulate body temperature more efficiently. Lastly, Seleucus zebra is primarily found in the southern regions of Africa, including countries such as Mozambique, Malawi, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. They are recognized by their distinct black and white striping, characterized by wider stripes that are spaced more closely together compared to other plains zebra subspecies. While plains zebras roam across grasslands and open savannas, mountain zebras prefer the rugged terrain of slopes and high plateaus. During summer, they often seek elevations of up to 2,000 meters to escape the harsher conditions of the lowlands, then move down to gentler hills as winter sets in. This vertical migration shows their ability to adapt to fluctuations in temperature and water availability. They also make use of nearby sandy plains, helping link desert and rocky mountain ecosystems into a connected landscape. Nature has equipped mountain zebras with hard, pointed hooves, ideal for climbing rocky outcrops and steep inclines. They also have a loose dewlap beneath the neck, allowing for freer movement and aiding in temperature regulation. Their long ears, somewhat donkey-like in shape, enhance their hearing and help detect signs of nearby threats. Mountain zebras often create dust baths, shallow depressions where they roll to clean their coats and reduce irritation from ticks and parasites. Over time, these wallows deepen and fill with fine, nutrient-rich soil that retains moisture after rainfall and encourages plant growth. In this way, mountain zebras play a vital role as ecosystem engineers within their natural habitats. Mountain zebras currently exist as two main subspecies. The Cape Mountain zebra is found in the mountain ranges of Western Cape and Eastern Cape in South Africa, with some populations introduced into the Free State and Northern Cape. This is the oldest subspecies and is smaller in size compared to the plains zebra. It is well adapted to grasslands dominated by red grass and is believed to be a surviving subspecies from the ancient fynbos regions. After the population dropped to around 80 individuals in the 1950s, the creation of Mountain Zebra National Park in 1937 played a key role in saving the species. By 2014, the total population was estimated at approximately 2,790 individuals, with some sources suggesting it may have reached as many as 4,000. In 2016, the species was downgraded from Appendix 1 to Appendix 2 by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, and in the IUCN Red List, its status was changed from vulnerable to least concern. The second subspecies is Hartmann's mountain zebra, found widely across southwestern Angola and western Namibia, with a few smaller populations in the northern Cape of South Africa. They favor dry, rugged, and semi-desert environments. The largest wild zebra species is the Gravy's zebra, often nicknamed the imperial zebra. The name Gravy's zebra comes from Jules Gravy, a former president of France, who received the first specimen as a gift from the Emperor of Abyssinia in 1882. It is also the most threatened of the three modern zebra species, currently listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Gravy's zebras are mainly found in Kenya and Ethiopia. They once ranged more widely, including Somalia, Djibouti, and Eritrea, but have since disappeared from those areas. Today, over 90% of the remaining population is concentrated in northern Kenya. Gravy's zebras have very short coats, with the narrowest black and white stripes of all zebra species. The stripes extend all the way down to the hooves, while the belly remains pure white. Gravy's zebra is a highly adaptable grazer with a non-selective diet, feeding mostly on dry grasses, coarse vegetation, and sedges. Most social bonds occur between mares and their offspring, while males roam freely within and around their territories. The African wild ass is native to Africa and is widely recognized as the direct ancestor of the domestic donkey, one of four major domesticated livestock species that originated from the continent. Its evolutionary lineage traces back to the Nubian and Somali wild ass populations in northeastern Africa, with domestication believed to have begun around 5,000 years ago. African wild asses are primarily grazers, but can switch to browsing when needed. Their hindgut fermentation system allows them to process low-quality, sparse vegetation efficiently. With the ability to extract moisture from food and survive 2 to 3 days without drinking, they are exceptionally well adapted to desert environments. The Somali wild ass is currently found in the Denkalia region of Eritrea, the Danakil Desert and Awash Valley in Ethiopia's Afar region, western Djibouti, and the Ogaden region in eastern Ethiopia. It is easily recognized by its distinct horizontal stripes on the legs and the absence of shoulder stripes. This is the only remaining wild subspecies of the ancestral lineage that led to the domestic donkey. The Nubian wild ass is believed to have disappeared from the wild between the 1950s and 1970s. Today, the African wild ass is critically endangered, listed as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and included in Appendix 1 of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. The Asiatic wild ass, belonging to the subgenus Asinus, represents one of the oldest evolutionary branches within the genus Equus. This species is native to Asia and is also known by several other names, including onager and kulan. Onagers are exceptionally well adapted to arid and semi-arid conditions, favoring flat landscapes such as deserts, semi-deserts, grasslands, and steppes. They are never found living more than 30 kilometers from a permanent water source and are known to dig wells by hoof in dry riverbeds to access underground water. These wells often become shared resources for wildlife, livestock, and even people. Historically, the species had a vast range that included all of Mongolia and parts of Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and the Arabian Peninsula. First is the Mongolian wild ass, the most numerous subspecies, with around 89,000 individuals, making up approximately 90% of the global population. During spring and summer, they feed on succulent plants from the Zygophalaceae family. They migrate across areas exceeding 70,000 square kilometers annually, holding the record for the largest movement range of any land mammal. Similarly, the Indian wild ass is capable of traveling tens of kilometers in search of water during the summer months. They can reach running speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour, outpacing domestic horses and even jeeps across desert terrain. However, this subspecies now survives only in the state of Gujarat, India, within protected areas of the Rann of Kutch. The Turkmenian kulan is also classified as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. It is one of the largest subspecies within the genus. This subspecies is primarily found in Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, and has been reintroduced into parts of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. Lastly, the Persian onager now has fewer than 600 individuals remaining in the wild. It has become extinct in Afghanistan and is classified as endangered. This subspecies is recognized by its pale sandy coat and a distinctive dark dorsal stripe along its back. Today, it inhabits the desert plateau of northern Iran, especially within the Kar-Taran National Park. The Kiang, also known as the Tibetan wild ass, is the largest wild ass species within the subgenus Asinus. Its lineage split from the common ancestor shared with the Mongolian wild ass less than 500,000 years ago, forming a distinct species, although it can still hybridize with the onager in captivity. Genetic studies have shown that Kiangs carry the EPAS1 gene, which enables them to adapt to low oxygen, high altitude environments, in contrast to the Tibetan donkey, which uses the EGLN1 gene for similar adaptation. This species primarily inhabits the Tibetan Plateau and surrounding high mountain regions extending into Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand in India, northern Pakistan, Nepal, and parts of northwestern China. Kiangs display remarkable adaptability to elevations between 2,700 and 5,300 meters, favoring alpine meadows, open grasslands, and valleys that allow for clear visibility, effective movement, and predator avoidance. Their global population is estimated at 60,000 to 70,000 individuals, with about 90% living in China.